When it comes to conference realignment, the Big Ten has always been very active. Aside from these four recent West Coast additions, they also went out and got Nebraska, Rutgers, and Maryland in recent memory. So what's next for the Big Ten? When it comes to an expansion wish list, the Big Ten's list is going to be pretty extensive. Like, they would love to gobble up Notre Dame. That's a huge brand that's out there that's currently independent, and those conferences really pushing for Notre Dame to join a conference. The logical one would probably be the Big Ten, geographically speaking. Florida State and Clemson don't make as much geographic sense, but the Big Ten would not care about that. They would love to add those brands, and they've been vocal about the fact that they would very much take them. When it comes to these other ACC programs in Miami, North Carolina, and Virginia, those are all teams that I'm sure the Big Ten would happily gobble up if that conference were to go down in flames. And then there's Texas A&M, which is a little bit more outside of the box, but we know the Aggies aren't happy that Texas is in the same conference as them again. And Texas A&M's a program that's been kind of vocal behind the scenes about maybe accepting a Big Ten invite. And it's a little out there, but you know the Big Ten would love nothing more than to snag the Aggies from the SEC. As far as some more realistic candidates, I think when you're talking about Texas A&M and Notre Dame, it's a little bit more of a fever dream because the Irish wouldn't want to ever do that, and Texas A&M leaving the SEC, that's a pretty big gamble. I do think Florida State and Clemson make sense, and so do North Carolina, Miami, and Virginia, but there's probably a few other ACC teams in that conversation. I really think if push came to shove, the Big Ten would not want these teams to go into the Big 12, so like Georgia Tech and Duke, and then maybe you're talking about Cal and Stanford, especially if something weird happens with the ACC where they try to zombify it and like keep it together. But for 2026, I'm going to say the Big Ten stays the exact same. Don't think anything's going to be able to be executed, and part of that has to do with the ACC staying together until like 2036 in all likelihood.